The Rhode Island Foundation, partnering with passionate Rhode Islanders to lead, transform, and inspire our state. Learn more at rhodeislandfoundation.org.
Welcome to another segment of In Another Opinion, a public information program where our discussions are focused on the communities of color in the state of Rhode Island. I'm your host, Peter Wells. My guest today is Representative Anastasia Williams of District 9 in Providence. Stash, how you been?
Good, Peter. Thank you for having me back.
Well, we're glad to have you back. Listen, we want to talk about several things that are going on in the district. So give us an update what's going on in District 9.
Well, it's filled with a lot of diversity, a lot of seasonings and ingredients. You know, it's a melting pot. There are a number of different projects with regards to new luxury apartments. We have Urban Green, a co-op that's going up, a market on Cranston Street. We have another luxury apartment building that is coming up on Westminster Street. So there is a number, and pretty much that particular area is known as the West End, kind of, and some others have given it another name, but realistically I'm not going to give them the opportunity of naming it as they have tried to change it. But a lot of activity, good activities is going on in the neighborhood, along with the bad ones as well.
Okay, well, we'll get into some of that too during our discussion. But I know, for instance, you're talking about the Urban Greens.
Yes.
That's a co-op of some sort that's going to house a market, I guess. And is there housing also involved in that?
Yes, I believe, if I'm correct, there are going to be 34 what is called as affordable units that could range anywhere from $1,200 to $1,800 a month. Not low income, but it definitely is a welcome sight in the neighborhood because it was just an empty lot for a number of years. And having the Urban Green market, it's, you know, that will provide the community with good, fresh, healthy foods, you know, is a welcome new project.
Absolutely.
New opportunity. Not to take away from the bodegas, because we still have the corner street bodegas that have been providing, you know, a variety of different items, you know, for years to the community. This is definitely will be another welcome addition to what we already have.
Well, this is true. I know the bodegas, for the most part, have cultural foods and products that are consistent with the cultures that exist in the neighborhood. And hopefully that the Urban Greens will also have some of those same products once it's opening. Now, there are a number of community gardens and such like that, so I'm assuming they may be pulling from that as well.
Well, while I don't know exactly what farmers they are going to be engaged with, I do hope that they will take into consideration and utilize the number of farmers that we have ourselves in the neighborhood. From the Southside Community Land Trust. We have a lot of Africans and African Americans that have their little plots there, and they grow their different vegetables. So if it's local, it's going to be marvelous, you know. And there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, going out to the other bigger farms as well. But you need to do business with your own close to home.
That's just true. I've had some shows on about the various food markets and in fact the actual little plots that have fed the Thursday farmers market, for instance, over at the Armory grounds.
Yes.
Which I wanted to talk to you about, which is a good segue. The proving grounds, Armory grounds that are there, that have been there for a long time, dedicated, I understand, by Dexter. Years ago when he provided that park to the city. And then the castle was built later on, which housed a lot of different military units. What's going on? I hear that there's something going on with that castle?
Okay, there's a lot going on, but I want to kind of touch bases on the farmers market.
Okay.
This past summer, I noticed that there were more people of color participating there. It
Yes.
didn't start out that way at all. So someone took note and decided to invite individuals that were growing their own to participate. Sankofa, on the other hand, which is on Elmwood Avenue, the Knights Memorial, pretty much is predominantly people of color, but it's not excluded of anyone who has their goods that they want to sell. But I applaud that. I applaud the effort that had been made to make the Armory farmers market more diverse than it has been in years. So that is a plus. Ebenezer Dexter had donated the land over there to be a park, a people's park. It was for the enjoyment of families, every person. And then the Armory was built in
1907.
1907, yes.
Right.
So, but prior to the castle being built, and this is another thing that's fascinating to me, African Americans were predominantly the people that utilized that park for training, military training,
Yes.
for a number of years. Now, we have individuals that want to keep that information, that history, covered in a box somewheres. But it's extremely important for us to teach, present, talk about, display all history, not just the one that they want to see or they're interested in, but the real history. And African Americans' contribution to not only the city of Providence, but the state of Rhode Island is enormous. We are packed, we're present. Unfortunately, we don't have the platform to present all of that information. And then when we request the opportunity, you know, it's goes in one ear and out the other. And that's what I've been finding that's going on in that particular area of the city. It's not about all of us. It's just about a privileged few.
I see. Just a question. Ebenezer Dexter, was he African American?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, I was just curious because of Ebenezer Baptist Church as well. I imagine there's a connection to that same family, maybe.
Maybe.
Okay, I was just
I'll
curious.
definitely check that out now that you brought it up. Unfortunately, I assumed because of the individuals that are claiming it
Yes.
so boldly that I assume it was one of their ancestors that,
Okay.
you know, owned it and did this, because
Okay.
they're very vocal and very protective of it with regards to what they want there and who they want there, you know. So, but that's a very good segue to find out who is or was Ebenezer Dexter.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting to know. Let me ask you this, Anastasia. The building itself, the castle, has been used for sound stages for various movies. I can think of Outside Providence and the Wonder Dog, I think it was.
Yes, it's been used for a number of things. It was ProCap had used it.
ProCap.
Toys for Tots have used it. A number of organizations and entities and individuals have used the Cranston Street Armory for a variety of different projects and things.
So it's become a part of the community.
It's the people's castle. There's no question of whose it belongs to. You know, the military, of course, because they had first dibs on what was going on in there. But once they moved out, the building started to take on a lot of physical damage, wear and tear, and so forth. So it was pretty much put aside by the department. And currently, it's as of today, as of maybe 9:30 this morning, the department, Michael DBAs and Carol Corneliuson, who is the head of that project or that department, have chosen once again to just drag it right along. Michael DBAs made it clear at a West Broadway Neighborhood Association meeting that, you know, let's not get all happy about this. You know, this project is a great idea. However, don't put all your eggs in this basket. And these are my words. This is what I received from his presentation that evening. You know, it's going to take a lot of money to really bring it up to snuff. So the best thing to probably look into doing is to see if there are any partners or entities that would want to invest the money, opposed to the state coming up with maybe $125 million. And those figures is just one of a few that I've heard throughout the years since this project has been going on. But nevertheless, it doesn't appear as though Michael DeBiase of the Department of Administration and Carol Corneliuson, which I can't put the blame on her. She is pretty much the gatekeeper. So she has orders and directives and that she has to follow, that while this is an important project, it's not one of their priorities. So if they can drag it along, that's exactly what's going to happen. You know, it's not at all a priority for them today, and probably not tomorrow, and especially after this is aired and they hear it, because I told them clearly today that I was going to tell it.
Well, you know, the building is on the preservation, at least the state of Rhode Island's historic preservation list, I imagine nationally as well. So does that, as far as you know, does that complicate the issues of trying to find partners to work in that building?
I'm not certain if that complicates things. My question to that is, so was Trinity Church on the corner of Elmwood and Bridgham, had been on that roster for years. And, you know, Black operated, it's still on that. And as much as they have gotten a little bit more play, we're talking about maybe 27 years later. And the Armory, while it's on the preservations list as an endangered, how many more years are they going to keep it on there without doing what needs to be done?
Sure.
This is not a 2x4 building that you can just, you know, ignore. This is over 2 acres and a huge building that sits in a community, and it takes up a lot of the community space. And rather than taking care of it and doing what needs to be done, you know, they're going to drag their feet and perpetrate what they know how to do best over there.
Well, you know, I was on the YMCA board of directors, the Board of Governors, some 10 years ago. And when we took a look at that building at the time, thinking whether or not that might have been able to, the Y might be able to use that, since it has such a lot of space inside. It has, I think the main hall is described as 2 football fields, so which is huge, and 165,000 square feet of space. So we're talking about a building that could have multi-use, obviously, and hopefully that there will be a partner, or that state funds and federal funds collectively will get that building to the point where the community can benefit from it.
Yes, right now what they are working on is an RFI, request for information, from entities, individuals that may have ideas that could assist in making this building a viable one once again. There is a consultant group of UTile that they have paid to come in and tell us what is best, how, you know, the structure,
the best use of the
building, how to upgrade, you know, make it safe and sound, and any changes, bring it up to codes, etc., etc. But, you know, that's another concern of mine. While I'm just knowing the individuals with UTile, and they're very pleasant individuals, why is it that we, let me rephrase that, not we, but the powers that are, why is it that the governor, and not only her, but department heads and other entities as well, always choose to go out of state to hire individual consultants and individuals that to come up with ideas, when we have some excellent talents right here in our own state? And while I'm always promoting people of color, we have many of those who are qualified, available, and got it going on. But they are never extended the opportunity at all. We'd see that with the judgeship, the judicial system right now. I mean, every time we look around, here's another consultant firm, here's millions of dollars going out to them, when those dollars should be directed right here. The talent can be used from right here because we have them.
Yes, no, that's true. There has always been a concern by voters, Rhode Island voters, of the number of consulting contracts that are given outside of the state, and rather than with state companies. And that's something that we'll continue to have to watch, and I know you're doing that.
It's sad that you have to watch it. You know, it's okay to go out of state because sometimes our state is so lagging behind in innovative ideas. Once in a while, but not all the time. It's, you know, it needs to stop.
This is true. Well, hopefully that will stop. Talking about some things going on in the district, what's happening with the John Hope building and its operation?
John Hope Settlement House is still open. Unfortunately, you know, you have the noisemakers, the haters, the perpetrators, the poverty pimps who have diligently tried to shut it down with the alleged and false accusation of what really took place up in the agency. Of course, the blame came on me. Of course, all the investigations that have been set forth and completed have found that none of what had transpired was by me and or my leadership while I was there as far as a chairperson.
So the allegations have been proven not to be true?
Absolutely. You know, it was just simply to cover up the doings of Nina Pandy, who came in there, Liz Chase, who also had a nickel and a quarter, you know, Peter Lee, who was definitely the cause of the demise of the agency, along with the other several other individuals that, you know, the Secretary of State has a list of their names public there that had a nickel and a quarter to see the demise of that icon of an institution go to disarray. But the doors have been opened.
What do you think the motive was?
I believe that there was individuals who were looking for the real estate, to gain the real estate, to acquire that, and you know, there's gentrification that is going on rampantly in that area, and it was going to be just another opportunity for someone to come in, snatch it up, and make it a project that they wanted to see. It's the building in its current condition. It is worth over $10 million, and it's almost 4 acres of land. So imagine, and there's no debt to that building. Just imagine if I had allowed these individuals to have their way. It wasn't about the building. It was about the services that the children, the parents, the seniors are in need, that they're coming there for. You know, unfortunately, where will they get that? Every minority organization that was here in the state of Rhode Island is closed. If they're not closed, they're in a box operating out of a shoebox in out of some closet. John Hope Settlement House right now is the only one that is standing.
And wasn't John Hope Settlement House sort of like an endowment, or it was a gift, and it was supposed to be specifically used for the community and more specifically for African American families and community members? Yes,
there were 6 individuals of color that pooled their monies. At that time was the early 1920s, and $10,000 then was a lot of money.
Sure.
And they had a vision. They saw the hardship that African Americans were having, and especially those with military family, when they were coming back, they were struggling even more. So they had a dream, and they had a place of a refuge where they could come and seek help for themselves. Now, it has evolved throughout the years, and its mission remains the same. while it was predominantly African American, it does not and has not turned away any nationality, any individuals that comes there and asks for help.
Well, yeah, this is true. I know that a lot of the youngsters and families that utilize it are Latino now, as there's been a change as the community changes through demographics. I'm talking about. So and I've been in John Hope, and I've seen the youngsters, and I've seen some of the seniors that utilize the facility. So it is not, to my knowledge, an exclusive operation. But the fact that it was really dedicated initially for the community and for the African American community needs to be said.
Yes, absolutely. And there again, there are individuals who wanted to eradicate that history. You know, there were photos of individuals of color that were at the last administration that were being removed, and some were completely removed till we can't find them. So they wanted to remove the history that was there from the beginning back in the early 1920s. It started on the east side and evolved on Westminster Street.
Was there a connection to the school for little colored girls on the east side? Was that a connection to John Hope, do you know?
That was way before my time. It probably was.
That's interesting, because I mean there were obviously projects that were considered and being done here in Providence, and may tie back to a lot of historical kinds of things. I mean, obviously the John Brown family did some things on the east side, and we had the John Hope. We've got the Dexter family. So it's kind of interesting how these things do tie into that area.
What is disappointing is, and to me that is, that there is so much black history in the city of Providence, the state of Rhode Island, that people are not aware of. There is a slew of individuals, investors, providers, their lineage of families who have contributed and continue to contribute, because you have generation of individuals that still participate at John Hope. They come in, their children, their grandchildren, their great-grand, 5 generations are there. So, but aside from John Hope, just the contribution of African American in the state of Rhode Island is enormous.
Yes.
But I know we had passed legislation for Black history to be part of the public school curriculum. Unfortunately, here we go again. It hasn't been implemented. It hasn't been presented. You know, it's not about us. It should be about all of us, and it's not.
Well, as you say, it should be about the inclusivity of the whole community, of which is very, very diverse today. Unfortunately, at the development level, at the business level, that people of color are still struggling to get their piece of the pie, so to speak. And of course, it's been promised by the governor through the Department of Business Administration, I guess, and the Small Business Administration, that part of the state government, to make sure that contracts are there and so on and so forth. But I know that, if I recall correctly, Governor Raimondo had increased the minority contribution, or the minority set aside, to be about 10 or 12%, but we've never gotten past 4 as far as I know.
So that right
agree?
There, I agree. Again, it's an illusion. You know, our community of color have their eyes wide shut, unfortunately. And those of us of color who have, in their eyes, made it, and they have gone through and have an opportunity of a good job, a good paying job, have somewhat, maybe not forgotten where they come from, but they have focused more on retaining where they're at. And rightfully so, because you have to preserve, you have to survive, you have to move forward. So you can't, at least in their mind, can't utilize any of their time trying to get some others in as well. But that's where I think many of us make a mistake, is that it's not how you made it by yourself. You didn't get there by yourself. So you shouldn't get there and forget about the others that are trying. Because what has happened, what I have seen happen in this administration the last 4 years, the last 8 years, the last 12 years, is that you have individuals coming out of town or recruited from out of town, and they're placed in jobs right here where our own people of color have applied for, qualified for, and are not given the opportunity to get in there. Why? Because they don't have a hookup. They don't have a godfather. They don't have someone who's pushing them to get that position. But you do a ill deed on behalf of someone who's, don't like someone or something. Okay, you do this, we can fix it and you get that job, or we can make it happen and stuff like that. It's unfortunate that things like that is a reality. But we need to learn that it's not about liking each other, but lifting each other up, because whatever progress we do together, it's going to be an impact for the others that are waiting to come in. So we're being watched, we're being listened to. Just like, I always say, I enjoy food. Diverse food. I love to cook. So while I'm eating and tasting all these different seasonings and dishes, I like speaking the truth. Many people can't handle the truth, or they prefer not to deal with it. But the fact of the matter is, I have a purpose in this life, and one of those is to serve. Okay. I'm not a politician. I am a public servant, and I must do what's right. And it's not about me, because I can make a dollar holler and a nickel run off, a buffalo run off a nickel. So if my punishment will be for them to eliminate me, or all the ills that they have tried to destroy me, somebody's listening, somebody's paying attention, and somebody's going to definitely do what's supposed to be done right.
Well, Anastasia, listen, we're running out of time, but I want to thank you for coming on the show again, giving us an update what's going on in your district, talking about the development that's going on, and hopefully the next time you're on we can talk about some more positive things that are happening in District 9, the city of Providence.
Excellent. I look forward to it.
Listen, we've run out of time, but I want to thank today's guests, Representative Anastasia Williams, and you, the viewers, for tuning in to another segment of In Another Opinion. A special thanks to PBS for making this program possible. I'm your host, Peter Wells. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at IA Opinion. And have a great day.
The Rhode Island Foundation, partnering with passionate Rhode Islanders to lead, transform, and inspire our state. Learn more at rhodeislandfoundation.org.